Hi YouTube, Timothy Unkert here. In this video, I want to talk about QEs in the Dart programming language, or queues in the Dart programming language, I should say. So a queue is a first in, first out collection, okay? And then what that basically means is it's useful when you want to delete items from one end or the other, okay? So with that in mind, let's go about creating a queue, okay? So what we first need to do is import a library, which is Dart::collection, and then we can create our main function. So I'll do void main, and within that, I'll create my first queue. So I'll do final q1 equals QE or Q, and we'll do it of type string, and we can create it just like this. Now if I print q1.runtimeType and run this with Dart QEs.Dart, we see that it's a list queue of type string, okay? So that's cool. So we can now add some items to that. So let's say we want to add multiple items. We can do that with add all. So I can do q1.add_all, and then I can add a list in here. So let's do Tim, let's do Sean, let's do Matt, and let's do Joe. And that'll be good for that one. And what we can do now is we can print out the queue. Okay, so let's save that, go back here and run it, and we get our queue in the curly braces: Tim, Sean, Matt, and Joe. Cool. All right, so what else can we do in our queue? Well, we could create another queue, and this time let's create it a little bit differently. So let's go here and create another queue. And what we can do is we can say q2 equals new queue, like so. And what we can do is we can print q2.runtimeType. Okay, let's do that and rerun this. And we get list queue dynamic. That means that we can add in some mixed types. So let's do that. Okay. Let me bring this up here. Let's add in some mixed types. So we'll add multiple types or multiple items of different type. Cool. All right, so we're going to do q2.addAll, and this time we can add in a mixed list. So let's do 1, 2, John, true, 3.14. Okay, and what I can do now is I can print q2. Okay, all right, and if I run this, I get no errors. It's perfectly fine with me putting in the mixed types. Now let's say I just want to add one item to the list. Okay, well, I can do that. Let me make a comment here. I can add one item to the list, and I can do that with q2.add, and let's just add Joe. Okay, and to make sure everything works, we'll just print q2 again. Okay, and we'll run this program, and we get Joe added on, no problem. Okay, we can also remove an item from the list. So let's say we wanted to remove John. Okay, we can remove an item from the list. We can do q2.remove, and then pass in the item we want to remove. And just to show you, let's print q2 and rerun this. And we'll see that John is now gone in the last time we printed out q2 down here. Pretty sweet, okay? We can also iterate through q2 with a for loop. So let's iterate through a queue with a for each loop. Is what I meant to say. So we'll do q2.for each, and then we'll take each item, and we'll print each item like so. Okay. All right, and let's run this. And you see here down at the bottom we have 1, 2, true, 3.14, and Joe. Okay, I'm going to clear out a little bit of stuff here. So let me go up to the top and just get rid of a little bit of things here. Let me go and get rid of all this stuff and get rid of these. Okay, so next up what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the first item. So add to the beginning of a queue. Okay, and this, if you want to think first in, first out, that's a way to think of it. So what we can do is q2.add first, and let's add Tim, because I like being number 1. So we're going to print now q2, okay? And let's run it. And we get Tim in the first position. Likewise, we can also add to the end of a queue. So add to the end of a queue. Again, think first in, first out. So we can do q2.add last, and let's add Billy. Okay. And now what we can do is we can print q2, and you should see Billy at the end. Okay. And we go ahead, and we see Billy at the end there. We can also remove the first item in a queue. So let's remove the first item in a queue. Again, think first in, first out. So we can do q2.remove first, and we have to put parentheses to invoke this method. And let's print q2, okay? And save this, and let's clear this and run it. And you see the last time we've removed Tim, and we're now going to remove Billy because we're going to remove the last item in the list. So we're going to remove the last item in a queue, in the queue. Okay, so what we're going to do is q2.remove last. Again, we have to have the parentheses to invoke the method, and then we'll print out q2, and we'll save this, and let's clear this and run it. And we see in the last time we print, Billy is gone. Okay. All right. Now that we've done all of that, I think what I'm going to do is clear some of the stuff out, and we'll create a new queue. Go down here. Okay, we'll get rid of all that stuff, and we'll create a new queue. And we're going to create it from a list. Okay, so we are going to create a queue from a list. All right, so let's create a list. So we'll do var mylist equals, and we'll do Tim, Joe, Sean, Aaron, and let's do Ben. Okay, and then at the end here, we'll just put the semicolon. Okay, so now I can create another queue. I can do Q, let's call it Q3 equals QE or Q dot from, and then we'll do my list. Okay, now if we print Q3, we'll see, and let's also print Q3 dot runtime type. Okay, let's now run this. Okay, and so we get a list queue which is dynamic. Okay, so we could add mixed types. Okay, let's actually clear some of the stuff out. Other things we can do is we can check if a queue is empty, and we can do that. We can just print q3.isEmpty. This is a property of a queue. And so let's do this and run, and we should get false because we do have items in the queue, and we get false. That's pretty cool. Okay, we can also check if a queue is not empty, okay, with another property which, surprise, surprise, is not empty. Okay, and if we run this, we should get true because we do have stuff in the queue, and we get true as expected. We can print the first element of a queue. So let's let's do that. Print the first element of a queue. And we can do that by printing q3.first. Okay. I'm also going to print the last element of a queue. Okay, and I'll do that by printing q3.last. Okay. All right. So if we run this, we get Tim is the first element, right? Makes sense. Tim is the first element, and then Ben is the last. Pretty sweet. Okay, we can also print the length of a queue. All right, so to do that, we can print, and let's do q3.length. Okay, that's another property. And if we run this, we get a length of 5 because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements in our queue. Okay, let's get rid of this current queue. So I'm just going to go up here. We'll get rid of all this stuff. And let's create another queue. We'll do queue, and we'll call it q4 equals new queue. And we'll just do q4.add. We'll add just one element, hello. And what we'll do is we'll print, there's a thing we can do, q4.single, okay? And let's run that. And we see it just prints hello. Now let's do q4.add, and we'll add goodbye, okay? And what we can do is we can print q4.single again, and I'm going to show you what happens when we do that. Well, we get an unhandled exception, the bad state, too many elements. So single only works on queues that are one item in length. Okay. All right. Okay, let's get rid of this queue actually. And we'll create one last queue. So we'll do q5 equals new queue. And we'll do q5.add all. And we'll add a list of numbers. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what we'll do is we'll check if any of these numbers are greater than or equal to 4. So we'll do print q5.any, and then we'll do item and an arrow here, and we'll check if any of these items are greater than or equal to 4. And if we do that, we should get true because 4 and 5 are greater than or equal to 4. Let's clear all this stuff out and rerun, and we get true. Now we can also check if every element is greater than or equal to 4. So we'll do every, and we'll do item, and we'll do item is greater than or equal to 4, and this should give me false, and I get false. Now if I change this value to say 1, well now I should get true, right? Because every element is greater than or equal to 1. So that's a cool, handy element, or thing you can do with queues. That's what I meant to say. Okay, one last thing we want to check is we'll do q5, and we can print an element at a certain index. So we can do element at, and let's do index 3, and that should actually give us the number 4 because we start at index 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay? All right, so let's run this, and we get 4, as expected. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, could you please give it a like and subscribe to the channel? I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.